Hi, Rawteen family. Welcome to this special conversation. I'm Michelle, the holistic health strategist at Rawteen, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with the man behind it all, Banat, the founder of Rawteen. Mohammed, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. All is great my side. And I'm excited for today's call.
Great. So before we get into the Rawteen story, let's start with you. Tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background, and how did you get into the world of healthy food?
All right, excellent question. So I've started back in the 90s where I have thought that I am more into the IT person. I was writing code. And at the end of the 90s, I've decided that I'm going to start on software development. And then a year after, I went and I was working in New York. And at that event, big event, I have decided that I wanted to create my own company. And it was a small one. And within a few years, I was one of the biggest companies in my country. And then for long years, I was doing all the work that I was in love with up until I've discovered that I have brain cancer. And at that point in time, I started by ignoring what I have had for a few years. And then I've discovered that it's actually growing. And in short time, I met many doctors who told me it's not possible. You can't cut that part in your brain. And with some help, by God's help, I was able to know that there's more than what's in the on the tables and on the books. So I've traveled somewhere else. I met another amazing doctor, a neurosurgeon, who showed me that there are possibilities that are not there in the books. And back then, I cut a good part of the brain, which was impossible back then, and they left a small piece of cancer as well. And I was told to live life continuously the way it was. And I was given numbers, years, you're gonna live for long years and you don't have to worry about anything else. And then less than almost 2 years, I have had another MRI that showed me that there's growth. And that was the moment of shock. That was more than when I knew that I had cancer back then. And I decided myself to learn further. And I have learned that the neurosurgeon, the great one, not that one, all of them, are the best to make sure that they cut as much as possible from what's there. But what you do after that, that was a path of learning where I knew that there are many paths to go through that. And by learning, I have learned the hard way that there is more than what you do when you go to the doctor. There's something that has to do with what you eat as well. And that was parts of why you had the cancer itself, rather than what to deal with it once it's there. And that was the moment that I've started to learn. And I decided at one point in time that I need to spend more of my life to help others after learning that much.
You have an inspiring story. And I know you've helped a lot of others along your way. And I don't think people realize how much thought goes into creating a store like Rawteen. What would you say is the biggest thing that sets Rawteen apart from other stores?
Having myself, who struggled by traveling so much, to have gone through many different diets because I have had many other chronic diseases and I've heard them a hard way, is that there is no one diet that fits a person all the time. It depends on what the case that you have at the moment and what kind of food that you have to stop and what others should you take more. And when I did those diets myself, and I also supported others, one of the hardest part is that even if you look all of that in a book and it's clear, it's a very difficult for you to go to a typical supermarket and then read each item to see if this is going to be good enough or not. And also I have heard the hard way is that you're going to have to go to the great 3, 4, 5, 6 places in whatever city you are in to get the pieces that you need. And so that was a bit hard all the time, no matter what diet I've gone for. So I have decided that this struggle should be easy for those who already have chronic diseases and they need support. And that's why I thought the Rawteen is the space where people who have decided to go for a diet, I wanted to make their life as easy as possible for someone to take care of him by making the job very clear, very simple. So this is Rawteen's the whole idea.
Every time I hear you say that, it's a dream.
Yes, it is. It was literally one. Yes.
Yeah, it's exactly what I want my clients to come to after they meet with me. So now that we know how Rawteen started, let's talk about how we started working together. Mohammed, do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, this was probably 12 years ago. And I met you, and it was because I did a lot of research and I found that, oh my God, this place where you were is a place where there's full research. And everything that's being shared is not a theory of a person. And it's a lot of someone who's doing an excellent work on someone's behalf. And that there's going to be so much work that's going to be done in comfort with some basics, asking more questions that typical doctors don't ask for, and to doing at different basic blood work and others. And by also I have learned how the readings as well are different. So that link was, to me, was parts of the magic of that, what can help people in comfort and make it easy for them to go through a different path. So that's how I've learned this. I've started to learn about that almost 12 years ago.
Mm. After working with me, it feels like the logical progression for any of my clients would be to shop at Rawteen, what you have created. um, I work with a client to design the holistic health strategy, which is the plan. And then Rawteen gives the client a way to implement that plan immediately and with ease. Rawteen is like, instead of having a personal assistant to source everything for you.
Thank you. Yes. And I've also learned this the hard way is not only what you eat as well, because I have parts of my issues myself had to do, for example, with the environment and and what I am doing as well on daily basis on what's touching my hands. And that work and that blood work as well showed me that I had struggles there as well. And that could be cause of cancers and other chronic diseases as well. So that's why one parts of what Rawteen is doing this is not only to take care of what you eat, but all of the other areas as well further.
Which is so important because it's not just what we eat, it's also what we're exposed to and what we are taking in through our skin and through our breathing and through the cookware we use. You can be eating a really clean diet and have cookware that's poisoning you and that's working against each other. So it's really exciting for me.
Excellent. I'm so excited to learn more continuously like you did and I did over the years. And I would like to ask you a question more about you. Tell me more about you, Michelle.
Well, I've had a journey. I started out really drawn to the living world, how the living world works, and also creative expression at the same time. I've always been fascinated by how everything in nature fits together, like the cells and how they're sort of similar to how the planets work. I remember when I was a little girl, my dad and I used to sit on the porch in the summer and he would review what he was studying in biology with me. He would open his book on our laps, his big biology book. And at the same time, we would look at the stars and talk about the planets and space and time, physics, basically. And so I had that really, I mean, I think I was 5 years old. We had that really early exposure to the natural world. And at the same time, I was always drawn to creative expression. Like I started doing gymnastics as soon as I could walk. I think I was 2 years old. And I would be dancing all around. And I learned to play the flute. I think I was in fourth grade. I learned to play the flute, and I played quite well. And I was first chair, and I was really into playing the flute. And then I joined choirs, and I started singing in choirs and becoming a part of the chord. Um, and even cheerleading was a kind of like a creative expression. And I was in drama, which eventually showed me that I am very interested in design. So I studied biochemical engineering to combine biochemistry with design. Um, Ultimately, I found the field to be too focused on processed medicine and industrialized food, but it gave me a great foundation in all of these hard sciences like biology, physics, and math. And so after that, I studied interior architecture to do a little more of the design, and I developed skills in like open-ended problem solving and spatial design. And those things in art school and design school, they really later influenced my approach to understanding health as a dynamic system. And I went back to school to earn a master's degree in holistic nutrition. And I wrote my thesis on holistic nutrition for non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which is a kind of blood cancer. And then I went into the field, and over 23 years, I worked with 7,000 clients, at least 7,000 clients, in 22 countries. And I've analyzed over 10,000 holistic health fingerprints. And I see health as an interconnected system rather than isolated symptoms. And I focus on identifying the root causes and the patterns of imbalance. And I use this to guide clients to see how their body's chemistry and energy metabolism can interact. And then they can use this to empower themselves to pull out of a chronic disease and into more vibrant health.
Amazing. That was an experience. And I've worked with you as well. I've given you other clients in the past, and I've seen what you're doing differently with each different clients. And that's because of the research that you have done over the so long years. It was amazing.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle. So tell me more. What did you think is different about Rawteen?
So much, so much. Rawteen selects products based on real nutrition, not just based on the marketing details on the label or the marketing details, that are marketed to the store from the manufacturer. There are a lot of misconceptions people have about what a diet-focused supermarket is, and Rawteen, I think, really clarifies that by saying a diet isn't always about losing weight. It can be about losing weight, but a diet is a tool to help with your health. And Rawteen is really putting a magnifying glass on that by having the labeling and then online all of the filters there. You can see, oh, if you have a gut problem, if you have leaky gut, if you have IBS, a digestive problem, there are at least 2 easy diets at Rawteen you could try without even researching anything about the diet. You could just walk in, see the labels. Oh, here's the SIBO diet. Here's the Low-FODMAP diet. And then suddenly you have a tool that is bringing you on the way to health, something to try for your gut, or the ketogenic diet. So you have given the tools life so that somebody doesn't have to research and find for themselves, how am I going to use these tools? You have already the tool shed. You have already worked out, here's what you do. You just go down this aisle and pick it for you, and then you go home, and just because you went grocery shopping, you are on a therapeutic diet. And there's no other store I've ever seen that does that, where you can just walk into the store and be on a therapeutic nutrition path just because you visited the store. So that you could tell I'm getting excited about that, because it's implementing health for each person in a way that just wasn't possible before. And not only that, Rawteen has sourced not only the organization of the diets, but the clean ingredients. We use the word clean so much, but what does that really mean? It means, it's not particularly fortified. It doesn't have preservatives. It's just real food in its completely whole format, you know? And uh, unfortunately, that's a little bit hard to find now. And it's a little bit hard to understand. If you're going about your busy life, you're raising your kids, you're going to work, and you have a health problem, if you walk into a grocery store and a nutritionist says, "Oh, find the food that's whole food, that's real food, that doesn't have preservatives," it's going to take you 4 times as long to grocery shop, and you're not even going to know which store to go to. But at Rawteen, automatically when you walk in, it's already there. Everything in the store is approved by the nutritionist. So
Yes.
it um it's a joy for me to know and to see that this has come into being, truly.
Thank you so much. And you've been helping us as well by reading all of what we have gone already through with other nutritionists as well on site. So this was great, and it was a lot of work. It took months for us to be able to make the items themselves being there and in the space.
Yes.
Great.
It's been a great opportunity and my pleasure. And so I want to ask you, what's the one thing you would say to someone who wants to eat better but feels overwhelmed?
Ah, I've gone through this many times. And the quick part from that perspective is the diet itself. For the first time you look at what it is and what's possible and what's not, the first impression is definitely not that easy. But once you read, you take some time and you read and you go to a space where someone is helping you to instantly, easily find what it is that you need. In my opinion, it takes a few days. As long as you made the decision, it should become much easier for you to go forward, to be committed. And you will, in a few time, maybe a few days, a few weeks, you will see something that you probably have struggled for months and years in a short time. So that means be waiting, take it easy, and someone is going to make your job easier when you come and visit spaces like Rawteen.
I couldn't agree more. This has been such a great conversation, Mohammed. Any final message for people watching?
Yes, first of all, do not ignore if you have chronic diseases and you have symptoms that you think you have to live with them. There are solutions, and parts of that is being connected with the right nutritionist and the practitioners, and then to decide to eat comfortably with a good diet that fits you.
Amen. Thank you. I couldn't agree
Thank
with you
you.
more. Thank you. And thanks to everyone watching.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.